How would the Clippers replace Kawhi Leonard? How would they replace Kawhi Leonard if he left? First of all, you're talking about a two-time Finals MVP. You're talking about a top 2 player in the NBA. In my opinion, you're talking about the best player in the NBA. You're talking about a player who holds a lot of weight. Definitely has a lot of gravity when it comes to the NBA. Definitely a player that a lot of people admire, a lot of people hate, and a lot of people out there might not even understand. Kawhi Leonard's a different type animal. He's a different type player, and he's even more different and looked at in a difference in a higher level when he plays in the playoffs. Because I've always said Kawhi Leonard is the best playoff performer in basketball as we speak, because nobody turns it up another level the way he does. Maybe players like LeBron and KD can, but I still think Kawhi notches over them a little bit higher. So when you look at a player like Kawhi Leonard in his caliber and what he can do and how he plays and how he understands the game, his basketball IQ, he's almost second to none. He's really a true, genuine, one-of-a-kind type player. And a lot of people need to understand how great he is, and they need to really pay attention to how great he's already has been. The Clippers organization was really nowhere. They were dead in the water. They were not to be found until Kawhi Leonard discovered them. When he came to LA and got Paul George to come with him, they formed a duo that a lot of people maybe possibly feared, somewhat respected, or somewhat overlooked. Now, this team as constructed, I've said before on my other videos that this team as constructed can win a championship if they stay together. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this offseason is going to go. Everybody's wondering about the big decision by Kawhi Leonard, but also a really, really big thing that a lot of people need to look at as well is just the team itself. And the team itself is really predicated around Kawhi Leonard if he stays, but they do have some really good role players. And what happened this season with injuries and everything takes away from the what if, or it brings up the what if the Clippers were healthy. Because if they were healthy, I think they'd be in the finals, and I think the Phoenix Suns would be abstract, and they wouldn't even be, they wouldn't be there. They'd be an afterthought. Personally, I think the Kawhi Leonard is one of those players who is transcendent, who can definitely help this franchise or any franchise that he's on to get to a championship and win it. So wherever he goes, or if he stays on the Clippers, I definitely think that bodes well for them and their organization, because he can definitely do a lot of great things, and he's already shown that he can. Hopefully he comes back healthy next season, with the sprained knee injury that he had. Hopefully that's not that severe. He might have to get maybe some surgery on it. Who knows? But hopefully not. Hopefully he comes back next year ready to go. Hopefully he comes back with the Clippers, but we'll see exactly what his decision is and how Kawhi Leonard goes about his business from there. Now, I will say in regards to can they replace Kawhi Leonard? No, they can't. There's no team that can replace a player who is a superstar of that caliber and who has the mindset and the IQ of basketball the way Kawhi Leonard does. And the way he plays both ends of the floor is it's just meddlesome, because when you look at how great he's been on both sides of the floor, there really hasn't been a player better in the last 10 years, if you ask me. Because when you look at how great he's played, he's actually locked down, played good defense, locked down superstars in the NBA, and did it rather easily for years. And he's done it at the highest level in the NBA Finals against players like LeBron, and Stephen Curry's and players like that. He's really shown his greatness on both ends of the floor. So replacing Kawhi Leonard is really not applicable. It's really not something that can even happen, or somebody should even think that that's possible. But what I say is the Clippers do need off-season plans. They do need a plan just in case Kawhi Leonard doesn't come back. And, when you sit and look at this team and the way they're constructed, to be honest, I think a lot of players, would would love to play for the Clippers knowing that Kawhi is there. But if Kawhi isn't there, I'm pretty sure there's other players who wouldn't mind teaming up with Paul George, even though, he has his moments in the playoffs. But I mean, this year he played fairly well, so we definitely got to give him credit where credit is due. But he also had his moments where he didn't play well. But honestly, really, if you look at the Clippers, they don't really have much of a backup plan. Their only hope is for Kawhi to come back, because there's only players out there who is half of what Kawhi Leonard is, not fully who he is. When I look at players like maybe the Rockets with Victor Oladipo, that's a no-go. Victor Oladipo is injury prone. He is a player who has talent, but can't stay on the court long enough to show it. And, then I look at a player like Kemba Walker, who just got traded to the OKC, I believe. Definitely not good enough. Definitely another player with the same issue. A lot of talent, but, doesn't stay healthy enough to stay on the court for him to show it. So when you look at the players that are out there, and these are just players that, are out there in regards to, a possibility that the Clippers could trade for. Not saying that they will trade for these players that I just named, but these are players that they, can possibly trade for and, have in the works just in case Kawhi Leonard, decides not to come back, where they can add somebody with Paul George who can at least make the team formidable. Now, I will say this. I've said before, if they lose Reggie Jackson, I really don't know where this team is going to go from there, because even though you have a really good team in the playoffs, we've all noticed there's got to be that third guy in the playoffs that help a team get over the hump. It's always been that way, and it always will be that way. I mean, you look at this year with the Phoenix Suns going to the finals. Chris Paul and Devin Booker are probably the guys, the first two guys, but the third guy is definitely DeAndre Ayton. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the Bucks that's in the finals, Giannis is the number one guy. The number two guy would be Chris Middleton. But the third guy is, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can't think of his name half the time because, sometimes he just decides not to show up. Sometimes, he just decides not to even, play to his best ability. At times, he's just a non-factor sometimes, but I do think he is a highly capable player, and that's Drew Holiday. Definitely Drew Holiday has his moments, and he's had his moments in the playoffs. So, we tend to forget players like that at times just because sometimes they just don't show up the way they're supposed to. But that's another story. But anyways, when you look at this this team and this nucleus that the Clippers have, I think they have a team that's good enough to win it, good enough to run it back, as I said in my previous videos. But they have to definitely think outside of Kawhi Leonard, because nobody knows Kawhi Leonard. Nobody's in his head. Nobody's even that close to him to figure out what he's going to do. And, this big issue with the medical staff and things like that, that's something they really have to think about, because, the last time Kawhi wasn't happy with a medical staff, well, he left the premises. He didn't come back. And that was just the end of that. So, I mean, you have to really look at that. You have to think of that as reality. And the Clippers have to understand they have to have a plan just in case Kawhi Leonard doesn't come back. And like I said, the options that are out there, they're just not good enough. And as much as you might want to, try to, maybe, look at it from a standpoint, well, if Kawhi Leonard leaves, we still got an opportunity to win a championship. Very slim to none, because the players that are out there, the Kemba Walkers, the Evan Fourniers, the Victor Oladipos, the DeMar DeRozan, those players aren't half of Kawhi Leonard. And those players don't pack what he packs. And he packs a punch unlike those players ever can. So what I'm saying is you have to find a way to bring Kawhi Leonard back. Otherwise, your contingency plan or your backup plan, it better be a damn good one. Because if it's not even half of what Kawhi Leonard is, well, don't expect a championship. And don't expect to go too far in the playoffs, because it's just not happening with the players that are out there in regards to backup plans for maybe Kawhi Leonard or other pieces to add to the team that they don't have now. Because like I said, as much as Kawhi Leonard is so valuable, so is Reggie Jackson. So is the rest of the team. because this team has a chemistry and a bond now that no other team can break. They've been through struggles. They've been through the trenches. They've been through it all in the playoffs. And they showed it and laid it all out on the line, left everything out on the line, everything out on the floor in the playoffs. And they showed the NBA world that they're a resilient group and they are fighters. But they are fighters as one and together. And when they play together, they're a really special group. And they have a lot of talent. And they were the deepest team in the NBA this year, which is the reason why they got past the Utah series the last couple of games without Kawhi Leonard and took it to 6 games with the Phoenix Suns. So, I mean, when you look at how deep they are, they really need to keep the same team and the same nucleus. It's really just that simple. But if they don't and they find themselves getting one of those players I just named as backup plans for whether it's for Kawhi or anybody else they decide to trade, well, I mean, it could be a dent in the system, because it's like when you look at adding somebody else to their roster or other players to their roster, it can really bode like no good in the wrong way for their chemistry, because what they have now, they have the understanding of how to win. They have the understanding of how to come together. They have the understanding of chemistry. They have the understanding of one another. And that's what's going to propel them to be a championship team if they keep the same roster. Now, I hope, like I said, to see everybody back, everybody ready to go. I hope they run it back, because that's the only way I think that they're really going to make a push for a championship. Now, I really want to say this too. I know a lot of pieces like Luke Kennards and Nicholas Batum's, they're probably not going to be there next year. But I mean, if they can just, somehow be talked to by the team, or maybe Ty Lue, and say, hey, I know, you're not going to make that much money, but if you can sacrifice making the money, because you've made plenty of money in your NBA career, maybe not Luke Kennard or something like that, but well, maybe so. I mean, he did get the $64 million contract, but this is what I'm saying. They've made plenty of money in their career. They made enough money to live and be fine. It's all about winning a championship, because if you win a championship, and if Ty Lue and the organization can convince these players to stay together and take less money so they can win a championship, well, the future is greater for them going forward, because they can get a higher paycheck going forward if they win a championship. That's just the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? You can get a huge payday. So if they can convince this team to stay together, they have something going. If they don't, I'm not sure. But like I said, the focal point, it starts and ends with Kawhi Leonard, and that's pretty much where it needs to go. I really, like I said before, I hope Kawhi stays. I feel like he's a great fit for LA, and he's from there, so there's no need to go anywhere else. I mean, keep it Cali. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what we do. Keep it Cali. So, and that's Khaliis Take on that. And hey, if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section and let me know what you think about what we talked about today, and let's engage as we always do in the KAWHI Take community. And Cali out.